You hear the screeching of an owl, you hear the wind begin to howl. You know there's zombies on the prowl, and it's terror time again. They've got you running through the night. It's terror time again, and you just might die of fright. It's a terrifying time.
Hello everyone, we're back with another Project Zomboid patch guide, where we break down the latest patch and discuss almost everything new and everything that's been changed between the builds. Today we're taking a look at 41.54, which adds a variety of new stuff, fixes more known bugs, and further implements the much awaited Soundworks update. But before we dive in, I want to give a shout out to today's artist Foxfire. Be sure to catch her live over on Twitch or check out her art and such on Twitter and Instagram. And I want to once again thank you for the support on the channels. Now let's begin the video with what's new, shall we? First off the bat with the changes, the fact that VHS tapes and CDs have been added to the game along with the functionality needed for them. Home VHS tapes spawn with unique contents while V-tail CDs and VHS can be common, rare, or very rare. Now it's possible to learn recipes via radio lines. To go alongside the new media, there's also a new media UI section which has been added to the device control panel, so pop those tapes in and out all day. Red radios can be used to play the CDs, while black and widescreen TVs are capable of playing tapes. Some displays of overhead notification of skills have also been changed, including a softer pastel colors with red meaning negative and green meaning positive. Speaking of, said text now no longer displays if the value isn't affected, and the skill and stat effect numbers are replaced with an arrow up or down. Now I'm not going to go over every last text change as many of them are mostly code side, but now the game has world lights, there's an animated texture for when flies buzz around corpses in game, so that's pretty cool. There's also been new mugs added. Red books will now display in the character info panel under training materials. Keep in mind though, the devs said they may move this to the crafting UI later. And another nice UI change is when you have several items selected to be dragged, it'll highlight the items that can't go into the container. And mannequins now count as loot windows and have the title to go with it. There's also been a context menu added to the rain collector barrels to empty the ground so they can be moved. And now when you're fishing, it'll show the last 3 things you caught, and these 3 things won't fade away. You can also now select a dedicated container for catches caught via fishing, and until full, we'll continue filling with fish. Now you just need the ability to pair it with the rice to make sushi. One of my personal favorite changes is that when you're hurt, the heart icon on the UI will shake when you take damage, and it'll continue to shake more than Muhammad Ali until your health stops draining. Another nice boon is the fact that you can now pile shit on the ground and upgrade walls using the resources on the ground instead of having them have to be in your inventory. And it'll also automatically open boxes of nails. Also, in the case of metal walls, the character will draw propane from nearby torches until they're all spent. For cars, the stop by and hit by car properties were removed from one house southeast wall pillar, which would cause the car to be stopped in the middle of the tile before actually hitting the wall. In more exciting news, there's also been 3D models added for many items, which when you right click an item, there's a place item option, and it'll automatically display a rendered model of the item alongside highlighting the square to show you where it'll be placed. Items will automatically go on a counter or table if the mouse is over one of them instead of the ground. And if you press R, you'll rotate the item clockwise, or Shift R to rotate it counterclockwise. If multiple items are selected and some of them don't have 3D models yet, those items will instead just drop at your feet. Rotation speed is fixed and snaps to the nearest 5-degree angle though. Shift click the items if you want to place all of them at once. And another nice thing is the lighting of 3D items has also been improved to look closer to the tile's lighting. Another thing related to this is the fact there's now an in-game item height, so you could say stack an item on top of a microwave that's on top of a table. Just don't stick the axe into the microwave. That'd be a great way to start a house fire. Press tab to change the height of an item for instances with different height level placements. And these 3D items can be disabled in the options if you desire. Maybe if, say, rendering them is causing performance issues for you. To complement these changes, there have been new table stories added, i.e. you could find random shit on top of tables. Another quality of life change added to wall upgrading is now you can upgrade multiple walls while having to individually right click all of them. Press escape to get out of this too. Too bad though, it won't let you escape life. A new Moodle has been added to tell you that when you can't sprint, and if you try, it'll shake a little, but won't actually let you sprint. So just an amendment, I could not get the ball and chain can't sprint Moodle to work in my testing. So I'm not sure if my files are just messed up, or if it's bugged. There's been compatibility changes made to Last Stand, such as the fact that saves are now saved in their own folder to help prevent conflict with build 40, and they also now have version equal 1 at the top for compatibility with future versions. If you want an existing save to work, you'll have to now drag it to this folder called zombie/lure/last stand and add version equal 1 at the top to work. There's also been a few other smaller changes, such as now you have to be near a vehicle before the context menu will display options to refuel it. The vehicle radial menu icons have now been changed to 2 separate icons as they were the same before. Blood and dirt stats also now shown in the wash context menu. Stack weight now shows all the weight now in the inventory menu. And a training materials button's been added to the character info panel. This has 2 tabs, one for skills and one for magazines for recipes such as the Hunter Mag. With skill books, the name is displayed in white when read completely, or if the equivalent skill has been earned without reading the book. Magazines can now turn white when you read all the recipes relevant to the specific magazine. And the final addition is updates to the radio translation for Japanese, Italian, and Brazilian Portuguese. The biggest change, however, implemented by this update is the implementation of the Soundworks update. They have redone and overhauled many of the sound effects in the game, and I must say, they sound damn good. Zombies sound even more guttural, the smacking of metal on flesh, the crack of a skull, footsteps, there's tons of new detailing that just sounds so good. Like, good as fuck. I'm really enjoying overall how much more atmospheric and immersive it's becoming. If you thought the game sounded good before, well, now it's even better. Good work, devs. Now let's cover some of the new balance changes, shall we? First off the bat is you can now plumb sinks to an empty rain barrel. Previously you wouldn't recognize the barrel unless it had some water in it. You can also now plumb sinks without moving them first. So no more worrying about destroying the sink just to put it back down where it was. Water also still won't drain for plumb sinks as long as the water is still on. Metal drums can now be picked up with the furniture move tool, and they can be used to store water. A small amendment I'd like to make is it appears metal drums are not functioning as intended. At least I couldn't get them to fill with water. Loot spawns and stashes are now boosted. Now when you level up a perk, it shows above the character like when you get TV XP. Sheet ropes can now be attached to metal rails on balconies, but keep in mind they won't work with fences on the south or east sides of a floor. Car wrecks are less common, but they can now be dismantled for loot. Curtains are also more likely to spawn pre-closed in a house. Holes in clothing are now added to the clothing after the protection check roll, which means 100% or higher protection will always protect you from a bite, and lowered protection from a hole will only affect future hits. Shooting from cars is also now more limited by its angle, so you cannot just wildly gangster fire on zombies in all directions. Speaking of, when you reload your gun, you'll not be able to control your car at the same time. Reloading also takes longer while driving. If you're firing a rifle, you also lose the ability to control the car. This does not apply to pistols as they can be fired one-handed. There's also been some updates to the loot distributions, and for modders, there's been a weight change property added, which allows modders to make some items spawn more often than others. There's also a force for tiles property, which will check the tiles under a container where it spawns. So you could say make items like a bucket spawn under the sink, for example. There's also a force for rooms property also been added. That'll check that a room specified in a list exists in the building that the container is in. So it'll make, say, the boxes within an armory to spawn guns. Now once again, knives get changed up. which is following recent trends in the updates. If you're too close to a zombie while another is closing in, where you'd previously go for a jaw stab and leave yourself open to the other zombie, you'll now instead shove the zombie away. Knives also get a reduced movement speed when attacking to put them in line with other weapons, and now the hunting knife has had its damage dropped just slightly. The final balance changes include some clothing having their speed reductions and protection stats made more consistent. There's also now a small chance for some house windows to be left open, and curtains can now spawn closed. Now I'm going to be going over the new, more important fixes introduced to this patch and the ones I find more interesting, and I will not be covering any more mod support related changes, as these don't directly affect most players. Sadly, now you can no longer fish from swimming pools, so no using the pool in the hotel to catch some fish anymore. Those table stories are now no longer able to spawn multiple of them at one table, and now thick and thin skinned now correctly calculate damage done by zombies to the player. Now rotten strawberry salad can no longer cause you to have unlimited carry capacity. I don't even know how the hell that one happened. And now when you spear charge a zombie, the impact and death sound should play correctly. Speaking of spears, your animation should no longer lock up when charging with a spear after you hit a zombie. These fixes are some of the most relevant to gameplay, and I think that's a good amount of them covered. So let's move on and wrap up. Alright, so overall, this seems like another damn solid update to me. Plenty more good shit added, the world's starting to flesh out more and more. I'm glad they've taken cues from some of the mods and added some of those read features for both the books and magazines in the info menu. That's been something that people have been wanting for a while now. The sound update's also damn fine. I really like the sound of it. Even some of the smaller changes are really nice, such as you can now see skill levels up or down, and even the addition of being able to set things on surfaces, table stories, using metal barrels to store water. Finally, a larger solution for storing water if you can't make rain collector barrels and you don't want to use a million pots and pans. Plus, they'll look pretty cool inside of bases for that purpose. I also really like the fact they've added more immersion. They've added CDs and VHSs that can be played in-game. That is really freaking cool. So keep it up. Overall though, I think that's a good point to wrap up the video. I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know if you want me to cover more patches and help show them off in the future. Be sure to check Foxfire out down below. This has been Core, and I'll see you next time.